Hey folks, welcome back. My name is Krishna, and if you're new to the channel, welcome. I thought I'd do something a little bit different with my videos and actually make a video series. And I thought I'd start out by paying tribute to the late Rod Serling from the famous Twilight Zone TV show as my subject matter for this particular series. And what I'll do is I'll actually show you in real time how I begin the process of working on an illustration. So for this particular piece, I envision it as a tribute to Rod Serling, and I want to ultimately make it into a spoof magazine cover, like a fanzine for Twilight Zone, just as the end result. That's what I'm thinking about right now. And why Rod Serling? Well, first of all, he's really cool. If you haven't watched the original Twilight Zone, you're really missing out. Definitely check that out. But second of all, as this was being recorded, it is marking the anniversary of Rod Serling's passing. So I woke up to that on my Instagram feed, just kind of reading about, I follow a couple of Twilight Zone related feeds, and today was the anniversary of his death. So wanted to go ahead and kind of keep him in my memory, and I thought it would be great to go ahead and pay tribute. So you can see that when I work here, the first thing that I do when I start out is I actually start with making sure that the head proportion looks correct. I look at the angles. I'm trying not to look at the details. I start with very, very specific mark making, and I'm looking at the angles around the head. The lines that you see that denote the eyes, nose, and mouth are just giving me a sense of placement in terms of proportion. Where do the eyes land with respect to the nose, with respect to the mouth? And I start to tackle that once I get the basics of the head established. Now for my brush, I'm using a custom square brush, and I've made a video on how you can make your own brushes and save yourself a lot of money, and I'll put a link to that in the description for this particular video, so check that out. I'm a firm believer in if you have some experience with working with any kind of digital tool, it's not a bad idea to learn how to make your own brushes, because I found in my own experience that many of the brushes, as good as they are, don't quite work the way I want them to work. And you can certainly customize brushes that are made by other folks, and I started doing that, but I think there's something very satisfying of knowing that I can make my brush very easily regardless of what computer I'm sitting at. So that's one big advantage of doing that. When I'm working on the features for the head here and the eyes, I'm looking at shapes. This is not meant to be a one-to-one perfect recreation of the photograph. This is using the photo as inspiration to capture the likeness of Rod Serling. And if I can do that, then I think I've succeeded on this particular drawing. But I'm not trying to make a photo-accurate rendition, because that's not the kind of illustrator that I am. And I'm okay with that. There are some people that do photorealistic stuff, and that's great. But for me, if you know me for quite some time, you know that I love comics, and you know that I love that particular vein of illustration. That's kind of my first love. And so I'm drawing this as if you may see Rod Serling in a comic book, like a superhero comic book. So I capture the likeness here, and now I'm just kind of formalizing some of my lines. You'll notice that when I first start drawing the outline of the head, I kind of use a thinner, lighter line weight. The brush that I use has a very interesting pressure ramp, in that the pressure doesn't really kick in until I really bear down on the brush. I prefer a more firm brush pressure as opposed to a soft brush pressure. And if you haven't investigated those settings and you're feeling frustrated by your own line work, definitely look at the pressure settings for your tablet. It can be a huge game changer. It may not be the brush that's the problem, it might be the pressure settings. So now I'm going to duplicate the original drawing, and I'm going to flip it, and you can see that there is a little bit of a slight distortion, which I'm correcting with using transform skew. What I'm trying to do is just make that eye line look a little bit more linear as opposed to tilting, and that's how I generally fix any kind of distortion in my own drawing. We all have these. If you're a right-handed person, there will be a little bit of distortion when you flip your drawings, or if you're left-handed, it'll distort in the opposite side. I think most artists have this, and if you haven't flipped your drawings to see what they look like in the opposite side, definitely give that a chance. I've got a custom keyboard shortcut, Command F, that is mapped to flipping my drawings because I use that command quite a bit. And now I'm just working on the jacket. I'm now starting to look at the main, the shirt, get the silhouette for the jacket. And this video is going to end with me getting the pencils where I want them to be. In the next video, which I hope that you'll join me, I will proceed to inking and kind of walk you through. So these videos are going to be relatively short. I'm going to try to keep them at real time so you can get a sense of how I work, because as fun as sped up videos can be, I think it doesn't necessarily present an accurate representation of how an artist actually works. At some point I do want to do a live stream where I can actually talk and draw, but this is being drawn before it is being audio recorded. If you find this to be useful and you're excited to see the next part, consider subscribing to the channel and give it a like so other artists can find it. As always, thank you for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video. Take care.